All right, let's jump right in. Today we're talking about LangGraph, a framework that is seriously changing how we build AI agents. If you've ever tried to create an agent that's not just powerful, but also, actually predictable and reliable, well, this is for you. Let's get to it. This quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly sums up the big challenge with AI agents. They have this incredible potential, but without the right kind of structure, things can get chaotic fast. It's exactly like handing a power tool to a monkey. You've got a ton of power, but you've also got a real mess on your hands. So, here's our game plan. First, we'll unpack what's called the agent's dilemma. Then, we'll see exactly how LangGraph helps tame all that chaos. We'll look at how it's different from a simple chain, how it gives our graphs a brain, and how it lets agents use tools, all while, and this is the important part, keeping you in the driver's seat. Okay, so let's start right there with the agent's dilemma. What are we even talking about when we say AI agent, and why is this tug of war between power and predictability such a big deal? See, an AI agent is way more than just your average chatbot. A chatbot kind of just sits there and reacts to what you ask. An agent, on the other hand, is proactive. It can take a big, complex goal, actually break it down into smaller steps, figure out which tools it needs, and then go and do the thing all on its own. Think about it like this. A simple workflow is like following a recipe. It's a fixed path, step by step, like fetching a specific file. But an agent is like a chef. You just give it the goal, like onboard our new hire, and it figures out the whole recipe by itself, scheduling the meetings, ordering the laptop, creating the accounts, the whole shebang. And this, right here, is the core of the problem. The more freedom and power we hand over to an agent, the less reliable it can become. And pretty soon, you're back to that monkey with a power tool. This is the exact problem that LangGraph was designed to solve. So how do we give an agent the freedom to actually think without letting it go completely off the rails? Let's dig into how LangGraph gives us the building blocks we need to create agents that are both smart and stable. The first big idea you have to get is state. Just think of it as the application's shared memory. It's like a big whiteboard in a conference room. Every single part of your program can see what's on the whiteboard and can add new notes to it. This is what makes that complex, multi-step thinking possible. Next up, you have nodes. A node is like a specialist you bring into that conference room. Its job is to do one specific thing to the whiteboard. Or another great analogy is an assembly line. Each node is a station that performs one specific job. In your code, a node is really just a function. And finally, you have edges. Edges are just the connections, the lines that tell you where to go next. They're like the train tracks connecting all the stations on our assembly line, guiding the whole process and defining the flow of your application. And for all you Python developers watching, here's a little inside baseball. That state, our whiteboard, is usually defined with something called a typed dict. All that really does is give our whiteboard a predictable structure, a template. This is huge because it helps cut down on errors and makes the whole thing way more reliable. Now, you've probably heard of LangChain, right? So you might be wondering, what's the big deal with LangGraph? How is it different? Let's take a look at how it goes way beyond a simple straight line. LangChain is absolutely fantastic for linear stuff. These workflows that are just a fixed sequence of steps. First you do A, then you do B, then you do C. It's like a simple recipe that you follow exactly every single time. LangGraph, on the other hand, lets you build these complex, dynamic webs. Your application can actually make decisions. It can loop back to a previous step to refine its work. It can branch off onto totally different paths. It's less like a recipe and way more like a choose-your-own-adventure book for your AI. This table really sums it up nicely. While LangChain is perfect for simple, one-way tasks, LangGraph is built for real complexity. And the key difference is right there in the middle. It's fully stateful, and it supports loops. That's the secret sauce that allows for true agentic behavior, the ability to plan, to retry, and to adopt. Okay, so this is where it gets really cool. How do we actually give our graph a brain? Let's get into the nitty-gritty of how it can make decisions and run in loops. This is the million-dollar question, right? An agent isn't really autonomous if it can't make its own choices. So how does our graph decide, should I go to node C next, or should I branch off and go to node D instead? The answer is something called a conditional edge. It's a special kind of connection that actually looks at the current state. It reads our whiteboard and makes a decision based on what it finds. It's basically a traffic light for your application, directing the flow based on the data. And what about tasks that need a few tries to get right? Like debugging a piece of code or trying to make a summary better and better. Real intelligence is often about iterating and improving. This is where the whole graph idea really shines. A graph can have cycles. That means an edge can literally loop back to a node that's already run. This lets the agent try something, check the result, and if it's not quite right, it can go back and try again. This is what unlocks those awesome self-correcting and adaptive behaviors in an AI. So an LLM is the agent's brain, for sure. But to be really useful, it needs a way to interact with the real world. It needs hands and feet. It needs tools. Here's the basic flow. The user asks something the LLM can't possibly know on its own, like a live stock price. The agent's brain immediately recognizes, hey, I need a tool for this. It then triggers a special tool node to go get the price. It writes that new info back to the state, or whiteboard, and then, and only then, does it give you the final answer. And this creates a really powerful reasoning loop. The agent can chain these tool calls together. It could say, get the stock price, then call a calculator tool to figure out the total cost of a trade, all before it ever gives you the final answer. It's solving complex, multi-step problems in real time. Okay, this all sounds incredibly powerful. But what about that monkey with the power tools we talked about at the beginning? How do we make sure our super smart agent doesn't do something crazy? So imagine your agent is managing a portfolio, and it decides, I'm going to buy 100 shares of Microsoft. Whoa, that's a pretty significant action in the real world. We'd probably want a chance to say yes or no to that first. Well, LangGraph makes this super easy. You can build these checkpoints right into your graph. The whole process just pauses, and it waits for a human, for you, to review what it's about to do and give it the green light before it continues. This is done with a built-in feature called an interrupt. You can stick these interrupts at any critical point in your graph, and everything will just stop. It will halt execution and wait for you to provide input. It's the ultimate safety net. So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's that LangGraph gives us the best of both worlds. We get the awesome autonomous power of AI agents, but we also get the reliable structure we need to actually control them. It uses state, nodes, and edges to let us build these incredibly complex workflows with loops and decision-making, all while making sure we're still in charge. And that really gets to the potential here, doesn't it? LangGraph isn't just some abstract theory. It is a practical, powerful framework for building a whole new class of intelligent systems that can go out and tackle messy, real-world problems. So with this kind of power, the only question left is, what are you going to build first? Thanks for tuning in.